Julie Tunick will now tell us how older children and adolescents might respond to trauma. Julie?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for coming tonight. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to talk with you all specifically about how to talk to youth about violence and traumatic events. People say the preteen years and the teenage years are challenging and daunting. They happen to be my favorite age group, so I hope to alter the myth a little bit tonight as I go on. I want to invite you to think about something. This statement, information is power. Most of us have heard this before. In this day and age, our kids have to wear helmets when they ride a bike. We have to wear seatbelts when we're in the car. Times have certainly changed. Technology is upon us. It's booming. Many of our kids are teaching us how to use technology, iPhone, iPads. My 7.5-year-old knows how to download apps on my iPhone. Thank goodness there's free apps still out there. Because of the social world, this is where our youth and our teenagers are getting their information. The click of a button. Facebook, Instagram. As my colleague Susan had talked about earlier, the tragic death of our local teen Sarah. For many of our high school students and young adults, by just clicking a button, they could see the story day after day. That could be very unsettling and very, very traumatic. I'm here because I want you to take home a message that we as adults should be providing information to our young people, to our teenagers. When violence occurs, it's most important that we provide the information. The facts, as Gabby was just talking about, can be reassuring. Tonight I want to invite you to use technology and the information we have today to help our preteens and teenagers feel empowered. Just as you wouldn't let your youngster ride a bike without a helmet, you wouldn't want your son or daughter to get in a car without a seatbelt. We don't want our young people to be misled by the technology. Taking and making the time to talk, really taking the time to talk and to listen is the key. Our teens will feel safe in this world today if we can do that a little bit better. Move our slide here a little bit. Youth, when they turn 12, their brains start to change. Emotionally, they're individuating and separating from us as parents. Their friends are more important. They're trying to develop peer relationships. And in addition, cognitively, their brains are changing. They're starting to think about expansive thoughts. They're thinking about how what's going on in the world affects them. They're coming up with their own answers and their own ideas. They're inquisitive. My 12-year-old asked me last week about jury duty out of the blue. He wanted to know all the specific details. And then he wanted to know how to start a business. This is the big change. It's tricky, but it's very normal and expected. I want to talk about some common reactions that our young people and our teenagers may be going through when they hear about a violent act or a traumatic event. First of all is fear. They may have this persona that, they're cool, everything's okay. No. Most of them are scared at some level. They're afraid that maybe, what if this happens to me? What if this happens to my school? Fear that they themselves may have a mental health issue. Maybe they're confused. What is a mental health issue? Anyway. Fear of being bullied or picked on. Maybe they said something prior to the tragic event. They feel bad about it. Commonly, we're seeing here fascination with the media and with the technology. Again, most of our teenagers have iPhones. All they have to do is click. Click the web and find out what's going on. There can be an over-fascination. As I mentioned earlier, strong and varying opinions about the causes of violence. They may be coming up with their own opinions and ideas, and they want to share them. Listen to what they have to say. As Gabby had talked about, also separation anxiety. Normally, maybe during dinner time, your teenager's hanging out in his room. If he or she's hovering around the kitchen and they don't really have much to say, it's a sign they just want to stay close. They want to know everything's going to be all right. A lot of similar reactions with our adolescents, as Gabby had talked about. Trouble sleeping, complaints about headaches, stomach aches, appetite change. Something that I noticed with the junior high, middle school kiddos is that their hygiene kind of declines. Hygiene's an issue anyway, but if they're nervous and they want to spend more time, maybe it just feels good to be watching TV for a longer amount of a time with the folks or the family. That hygiene may go down a little bit. Worry and guilt. If they're in conflict with their peers at school, if they had a fight with somebody and there was a traumatic event or the school shooting, they could feel really bad. That's normal. Maybe an increased desire to party. Oh, everything's cool. They may minimize. That could be a common reaction as well. When to get help? What are the warning signs? Let's go over. Some warning signs. When to consult and get professional advice. School refusal. Tardiness, truancies. We need to be checking the attendance office. Are they not going to class? If their grades are slipping. Behavior problems if they're being sent to the principal's office, you're getting calls. Substance use, weight gain or weight loss, loss of interest in activities that they may have typically enjoyed. If you have a teenager that likes to ride his bike and he's not riding his bike, you have a middle schooler that likes to go to the mall and all of a sudden she's not interested, that's a warning sign. Change in friends, and again, as Gabby mentioned, sleep problems or teenagers and middle schoolers have nightmares. Their minds are really busy. And finally, how can you help? Number one is reassurance. Helping teens understand the possibility versus the probability that something could happen. They will understand that. Again, they want the facts. Making time to listen and being fully present. Just take a minute and put the paper down. Maybe make a quicker dinner. Make time to talk. Let their questions, give them a chance to ask you questions, and that will guide you as far as how much information to share. Safety plan is really big. Our adolescents, our teenagers, our middle schoolers, they've got iPhones. Typically, they've got after-school plans that don't involve the parent or the family. Take this time to remind them that their school has a safety plan. Find out who on campus that they can go to. Pick somebody that maybe they didn't think they could go to the attendance office lady, when really they could. Who can they go to at school? Is there a neighbor? Is there somebody in the community that they can call if you're at work and a tragedy occurs? Update contact info, cell phone, work phone. Go over the protocol with them. Reassure them that they can call you. And observe your teenager's emotional response. If you have a teenager that's not a talker, this isn't the time they're going to start talking. If you have an artist, maybe they're going to draw more. If you have a musician, maybe they're going to play more. If you have a physical kiddo, maybe he's going to be out running and biking. And as Gabby talked about, please continue to limit the TV, limit the media. Maintain normal routine. Everybody still has to go to school. Everybody still has to go to work. In closing, I thank you so much for being here, for listening. I do believe there is a lot we can do as a community if we focus on the information and the facts and being there for our young people. Thank you.